Another video here by Shibuya Republic, Vancouver, but this time I'm going to put on my hat of the Tokyo real estate man. And if you didn't know, I've been involved in real estate in central Tokyo for over almost 30 years now. And I want to talk about buying an apartment or a property in Japan, and just the things that you might have to look at, like looking at the conditions as of sort of early May here of 2023. Now I'm here in Vancouver, but I've just moved here since January, and I do own a number of properties in central Tokyo, and pretty familiar with just what it's like to be an owner in inside Japan. And I think it's a really good opportunity for people, but I'm seeing right now that I've never really, I don't really have to experience this because I have the lifetime visa, which in Japanese is called the Eijuken, and I have the lifetime visa to be in Japan. But I'm seeing a friend of mine right now who has a considerable sum of money, into hundreds of thousands of dollars, that he's interested in getting buying a place here or there. He's now in Tokyo right now, in Japan, but he's having some visa problems that he's just unable to get a visa. So that's the really main concern. If you can, if I mean, I think it, and then he's of the age too where he sort of needs income. So I think the most attractive people that would like to buy an apartment in Japan would be like, for example, here I'm in Canada, so I'm familiar with the idea of the Canadian world. Like, for example, if you had a a Canadian pension right now, and like a secure source of income, and you didn't have a, and you wanted a second house, and you wanted to live in, let's say, Canada half a year, you could then go to Japan and live in Japan half a year, and then you could buy a house in the countryside for a, very very cheap price. You get a really nice house for like $100,000 would get you a really nice house that would hold its value. Sometimes when you get properties in Japan that are underneath $100,000, they're really not going to hold their value. They're just going to keep crashing into the ground, which couldn't be bad. If you have $20,000 and you could get a house that's going to last 20 or 30 years of your life too. That's not bad either. So what, you're going to lose like $1,000 a year? Like that's nothing. So there's that. I think though, if you get into like a secondary city, central Tokyo is expensive now, and so is Osaka. And but if you could get into like a secondary city like Shizuoka, and then you could buy a property for $100,000 or $200,000 in a popular neighborhood, that's always going to hold its value. I have kids, so like that always uh, factors into my decision making, because uh, I just would like the properties that I buy that they're going to hold their value. And since Japan is like in a naturally in a natural deflation, in that the population is decreasing, certain, like, the most popular neighborhoods or the most popular areas are going to go up in value as people try to go to them, and the places where there's less economic opportunity, although there could be some beautiful places, that could be an angle of it too. Maybe you don't want to be in the economic hotspot. I always like to be in the economic hotspot, but maybe if you're not interested in that, like, you could just go escape into the mountains of Japan. So there's the visa restrictions, and I don't really know all the rules to it because I have the lifetime visa and stuff like that. So um, but I can tell you, my friend who's there right now, he's struggling to put together a plan, and he's already planning on coming back here, and he's looking to settle. He's originally from California, and he's looking to settle possibly in Portland. So, and the other factor involved with it is language, because if you decide to live in like anywhere other than like central Tokyo, there's not going to be much English for you at all. It's going to, you have to live a very like a Japanese lifestyle, which I think is really good. Like, but uh, yeah, you need really good Japanese skills to live in the Japanese countryside. But I mean, you could have, like, if you had a nice, let's for example, a nice house and a nice in a popular neighborhood in, let's say, a level C or D, like, You could always, like, Japanese families love education and stuff like that. You could have like a little English school, for example. That could be a business for the rest of your life. But I'd say that if you're going to have English school, it's nice to have it, to make sure that you buy like a nice house, and an area in the house that you could set up the classroom and stuff like that. People would always send their kids to your school for sure. I have a friend who lives in California right now, and him and his ex-wife, they broke up, but they had a school in somewhere in north, like I think it was in Fukushima, somewhere in Fukushima, or well, I forget which city in Fukushima. But they had a very successful, and his wife still runs the school very successfully. So that could be like a little business that you could set up the rest of your life. But my idea with a business like that is to, you want to set that up in a very nice home, and then you'd have a little portion of the home that you could set up in the classroom, and parents would happily send their kids to your school, provided you we're doing a decent product in a nice environment. No problem at all, because Japanese families do spend money on education. And I did run into a lady one time who ran an English school like out of her apartment. It ended up being this little neighborhood hangout for all the kids, and she had, I think, a very lots of kids that would come to her house as a business. But yeah, education though too. I was a school teacher for 18 years as well. It can be very tiring. So uh, just mentally, you can be just like after the end of those sifting through people's like uh, second language English schools can be tiring too. But I found it a very enjoyable like career. But that every person's going to be different. So that would be like one angle on things that you could do. Uh, But I mean, like, that visa thing is a major thing. That's a major sort of thing. So you have to like. I know a lady who she works as a school teacher in D.C., and then I helped her to get a house in Hachioji, and she's really glad that she got it. And then she spends about 6 months of the year in Tokyo, or Hachioji, which is on the outskirts of Tokyo. Actually, it's on the way outskirts of Tokyo, but it's still a totally populated city. Like when Japanese people say they're from, like my wife will say that she's from like like the countryside of Japan, but even her town has got like probably 70 or 80,000 people in it, and the main strip has every store and everything that you need. But yeah, coming back to some of the topics at home, you need really, in order to live in like the Japanese countryside, you need really good language skills. But I think it's a very attractive way of life. Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I've spent a lot of time in the Japanese countryside, especially in Niigata, where my wife is from. So I often say to her, "Why don't we move after we leave Vancouver? Let's move to Niigata." And she doesn't really like that idea yet. So, as I always say, I'm going to Kyoto next. And so these are just a conversation today about like investing in Japan and things, the factors that you need to think about, and just in a conversation. It's hard to do it all in one video, and I'll make a few more videos where we can talk about it. But uh, I guess if there's like sort of like anything how it relates here to Canada, look at what my friend in California, or who's in Japan right now, he's going to go through. And then you see it on channels like the Market Mania, Luke with Market Mania, and I love his channel. He's really funny and stuff like that. And like there's the angle that they're going to go away from Canada right now and hope that there's some real estate deflation and then come back. I mean, that couldn't work, right? But ultimately, if you're not, if you can't get into places like Japan or like that, you're going to have to bite the bullet at one point and like buy the real estate that you need in a place like Canada too. So it's hard. Like you can't. Is the escape valve there, Japan? It could be, but I think the restrictions are the visa restrictions and the language restrictions. And yeah, you also got to like think that you have to economically be able to produce. And I have a personality that allows that I can do education. I have actually the financial wherewithal that I can like set up other businesses like cafes, like I intend to open in Kyoto when I go there. But yeah, these are just certain things or restrictions or things you might have to think about. I'm not trying to um, uh, make this like an almighty video. I might make a few other videos about like investing in Central Tokyo in 2023 and what you have to look at. But yeah, uh, another video here by Shibuya Republic, Vancouver. Today's hat is the Tokyo real estate man. I'm just gonna go to the gym and do some medicine ball. Cool. Thank you very much.